crime, though, does it?
No!
It's perfectly regular, because...
It's totally normal.
Sitting at the desk in my office and, like, okay.
It's like, I could just... It's Children of the Corn, that's what it is.
Casey, I love these conversations we get to have online.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I just hope that it doesn't wind up in a lawsuit at some time.
Well, that is why I began recording these.
That's great. Thanks.
Well, I warned you in advance, because they said that, by law, you have to let the other person know that the conversation's being recorded.
So if there's a blinking light on my computer, that means I'm still liable, right? I can't
Yeah, that's right.
No, I didn't know.
Well, and with the internet nowadays, once it's been seen once, people can get that information again and again. So I've got thousands of witnesses at my beck and call.
Yeah, that's right. Just be careful what you do with your beck and call.
Is that a euphemism?
You young people.
Dad!
What?
We said that at exactly the same time. I don't see you that much, but we hang out way too often.
Way too much. Okay, well, you know why?
Why?
Because I think I have one of the rare gifts of actually liking my kids. I mean, there are a lot of parents who love their kids. I'm lucky because I like my kids. I actually enjoy spending time with them. And people say, well, how do you have a happy life? What's the thing that makes you happy in your life? And I have to say, it's liking your kids and liking your spouse. That makes a big difference. I had a friend die this week, we had his funeral Tuesday. So, when you have somebody who's your age who dies, and then you see not just, what's happened in his life, but also how his family handles it. You start talking about family unity and really the support network you want to have. And that's I got to tell you something, Casey. Having people that you genuinely like, that you're related to, I think that's the best thing you could possibly have. In fact, you mentioned something about your brother and sister. Seeing them do things together and kind of chatting back and forth.
Yeah, that's right. That's one thing I like about Facebook. It's not necessarily that I have to contact everyone who's my friend, but I am aware of them. So I saw that they were writing, because they go to school together, and it never occurred to me, that they had made plans to go to lunch together, and they were excited to be there. And I was so thrilled with that whole conversation to know that they're getting along when they didn't really when they were younger, and that they are having a connection. I know they're going to be just as excited to see me when I see them again, because that's just kind of the way we are.
No, and the truth is, we're all getting together for the holidays. And it's not because, you got to come and you've got the social obligation. It's because everybody wants to be together. So after the Christmas vacation, we get everybody together for a few days. We're going to have 2 months later the Lord of the Rings Day.
Very exciting.
Which is... It's kind of odd because I think we're going to have more of the family together for that than Thanksgiving.
Well, I almost think that the Lord of the Rings Day is almost more fun for us than Christmas, because Christmas is built up with all these expectations, and they're never met. But Lord of the Rings Day was strictly a holiday that we created ourselves. We do only what we want to do, and nothing more and nothing less.
So it's the family tradition, and also the chance for the family to do something together that's kind of a big deal. Your little brother, who's now about 6'1", still wants to be a hobbit. And I said, son, unless you're going to be a hobbit with a thyroid, this is just looking weird, Maybe you ought to try another thing. Have you thought about being an ant? But.
Come to think of it, that's kind of what I like about the nerd community. This might be a small tangent, or we'll get back to the point in a second. But I went to see The Princess Bride in the Egyptian Theater on Monday. Oh my God.
I love that theater anyway.
I loved it, but the best part was that I was in a room full of nerds who were just like me, and we all had some kind of a connection. We were quoting the movie together, the whole theater. Yeah. It was great, and everyone got excited for the things that they knew, and it's the same thing with our family, that we know each other well enough that we get excited together about stuff because we're already such good friends.
Oh, yeah.
But you started off by saying that we're lucky, and you're right. We are lucky. But if you're not so lucky, what are you supposed to do about that? You forgive me.
But, gee, I hate to bring up something. This may be a little painful, but you kind of have to make your luck.
Why is that painful? Because some people aren't close to their family, and therefore they haven't tried hard enough or something?
Well, I think if you have people you're related to, true, that's lucky. But then if you don't, then you have to have a surrogate family. And you have to treat them like they're a surrogate family. You know, I don't think it's a bad thing to adopt parents of your own choosing. And I will tell you, your stepmom and I have got several surrogate grandchildren.
You haven't told us about these.
Well, yeah, they're usually kids who don't have a relationship with their grandparents. We just went to that thing with your cousin I told you about, where she's saying she's in the 6th grade, and it's a 6th and 7th grade talent show. It's
so cute. And you know what? When you go to a 6th and 7th grade talent show, your expectations start off pretty low anyway.
Pretty low. And yeah, they served hot dogs, and the hot dogs were warm, which is about as much as you could hope for about that fine dining experience, you know. Mm-hmm. It's a fundraiser, but there were some of the cutest kids in the world who got up on that stage. Some little 6th grade kid did this rap thing that was amazing. There were 2 little boys who did, well, they're 7th graders, twins, who did a piano thing. They sat next to each other and played a classical piece. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that their mother is probably the only one in the world who's ever cared about it. But we gave them a standing ovation. They just did great. Little, errors and stuff, but they're just cute, sweet kids. And the dancing things. So here's the thing. Over time, we've come to know them. And we'll come up and make sure that we know their names. So you see them at school from time to time, and we just tell them, "Oh, you were so good. What else are you doing?" I think there are far too few people who act like they care. And so they kind of become our surrogate kids. We've got a lot of adult friends who don't have kids that live nearby, so we're doing gingerbread houses this year. We usually do it, a week or so after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so they last.
Having our whole front of our house turned into a big shop where we bake the gingerbread walls first, and then have all the stuff for people to make it, and just invite people over.
Really?
Yeah, and it's amazing how many people just absolutely, that's the height of the holiday season. I don't think it has anything to do with making a gingerbread house. I think it has everything to do with feeling like there are people who care about me and want to see me. Now, you have that as a young single adult, right? I mean, after all, you've got a lot of friends you spend with all the time, right?
Well, what are you talking about? We have, I'll tell you, in the young single adult program at church, we have that family home evening Mondays. Someone plans an activity, and because we don't have families, we're still expected to get together. We're supposed to have an activity, so we all get together and we do, volleyball, or we learn something, or we get a special lesson.
Sure.
And I think that there is a controversy right now about how these should be done, whether it should be very spiritual or it should be fun and bonding. And I think it should be. I think if they put their focus first on the aspect that it's supposed to be a family activity, and then how do you make this feel more like a family, or the way that a family should be, not necessarily your family, they would probably have more success. Because I think it's trapped somewhere in between a second Sunday and a social hangout that nobody really ends up working at.
I agree. I think that's a pretty insightful thing for you to say, Casey.
I'd never thought about it that way, but it's true.
Well, the ideal situation is you're coming up with a surrogate family who can actually act as a support network, but not only for you to receive benefit, but also people to care about you.
And you know what? As a young single adult, it is so easy to get trapped into your own little bubble, your world, your schedule, your feelings, because nobody else. Your choices don't affect anyone but yourself. Not really. And that's a reason why I think people should get married and should get the opportunity to serve other people. And they always say that you feel better once you start serving others, and that's absolutely true. And I think there's no better opportunity than using the skills you have, the DNA connection that you've got between your family and your siblings, your real ones. And the truth is, my 2 youngest siblings aren't even fully my brother and sister, but I couldn't care less. They are my half-brother and sister, and I don't introduce them like that ever. Because we have way too much of your DNA to separate us, and everyone's always going to know that we are related.
Frankly, they have never ever thought that there's any separation between you and them. because you never made a point out of it.
No. And why would...
And by the way, you fight and love and talk to them like they were regular people.
Well, and we were never concerned that just because they're not full-blooded brothers and sisters that we would end up in a boxing match. We'd be afraid of losing them because we got into a fight, and that would somehow... Because there's a difference between being friends that you can lose and siblings that are always going to be your siblings whether you like it or not.
Sure, but don't you think your friends should really be able to be real friends where you're not going to lose them?
You would think, but people change, and situations change, and there's absolutely no bond to say that you have to stay that way.
True. The only reason that I have my friend Bob, and we've known each other since we were 16, is because we decided we'd still be friends.
That's true. Well, you're making me feel bad because I don't contact my friends that often.
Well, he and I just talked this week, as a matter of fact, and in fact, we're going to go see him on our little out-of-state trip. We're staying in one of his houses.
Do you know what, Dad? Next time, let's talk about the difference between single relationships and married relationships with friends.
All right.
Because I have a lot to say on that. Especially when my friends get married and I never see them again.
That's a very good topic.
Okay.
Very good topic.
I'm excited for it.
All right.
Because I'm excited to talk to you, Daddy, who are married and have no friends.
You're very kind. Yeah, that's true. I have no friends. I basically sit here in this box all day and think about how I can make you happy.
And that's why we're such great... I don't know what I was going to say, but something along those lines. I'm going to go blow my nose, Daddy.
Okay, are we going to cut here?
We are, so say goodbye.
Ciao, baby. Ciao.
Ciao,
Bye.
Poppy.